What is up everyone, my name's Al from GamesRip and today we're taking a look at the Cowabunga collection. That's right, Tmnt Cowabunga collection for the Sega Dreamcast. This has been worked on now for over a year. I believe it's even nearly 2 years coming, this one, because it's been so damn optimised in the way that it works. It really is a dream to see. This really does look like a full retail release. You know, if it wasn't down to licensing, I'm sure it would absolutely have been. But this is it. It brings the best of Game Boy, SNES, Mega Drive, and you name it, and even Spectrum. To be fair, Spectrum emulation has not been great to date, but how well does it fare in this fantastic new collection? Well, let's take a look.
We're the one who started a program that says hello world, and we never stay before the wrong condition.
Now yes, you're probably wondering what on earth is going on right now. Well, this is the anti-piracy measure, essentially saying, you know, hey, if you've bought this on Etsy, if you've bought this anywhere else, this game is free. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the times you see all of this hard work being poured into projects, and then someone on places like Facebook, we all know they exist, in fact to follow a couple of them, they sell copies of these games for big margins. But yeah, this is basically a, you know, don't do it this way, go and get it for homebrew yourself, put it on a disc and enjoy it, don't pay for it. By the way, that is Ian Michaels singing. Now what you're seeing is essentially the NFO file in kind of, I don't know really, but this is also showing off all of these different video techniques you're seeing right now. Now look at this, you've got kind of a scrolling background, then you've also got the image of the actual NFO file going up. You know, at the end of the day, this really does, it really blows my mind at how incredible this is. Now obviously, there is one thing to note, make sure to stick a VMU in your controller. If you don't use a VMU, the actual, this game won't actually work. This collection won't work. It does require it, so make sure you have a VMU in. If you don't have a VMU in when you're playing a Dreamcast anyway, I really do ask the question why. Anyway, let's press A and let's get on and have a look at the Cowabunga collection, the best version, on the Sega Dreamcast. Now here we are, so you're going to see SNES, NES, Game Boy, Mega Drive and VHS, that's right, all of these in here. First of all, let's take a look at videos and basically see what we've got here. Now what you are going to see straight off the bat is, this is no joke, actual VHS quality videos, or well, VHS videos I should say, on the Sega Dreamcast. Now I haven't seen this run as well as it does, and let me tell you, you know, the video is pretty much instantaneous. Video quality is great. You know, to me, this is what this collection should be. This is what it's all about. This is real fan service. It really, really is. You press start again, it'll bring you back to the main menu, and then you can go and select whatever you want next. Just remember, this element of returning back to the main menu is a big, big feature, because, you know, you don't really ever see this in collections before, or you haven't really seen this in collections before, really until now. Impressive, and like I said, it really is the best collection today. Anyway, let's actually crack on and have a look at some of the games in this collection. Now obviously we had to start with NES. Now obviously you can see all of these kind of splash pages here. As soon as you go actually into a game, it then actually shows you an actual breakdown of your controls, how to exit the game, which will obviously bring you back to the main menu, and also there is a bit that also says more information. Now more information is actually an area where you actually access a scan of the original manual, that's right, which to me already is pretty damn interesting, and just listen to this.
Now, Loading, Loading. Now loading, now loading.
That's right, we've even got proper animated loading screens with, I'm pretty sure that was also Ian Michaels' voice. Hasn't confirmed it, but I'm pretty damn sure it is. I'd know that accent anywhere. Anyway, here we go, this is it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a NES game on the Dreamcast, and as you're going to expect, this does run pretty damn well. In fact, it runs very, very well. So smooth, so awesome. It just actually works. I mean, this is the thing about this collection. It just works, and it does it very, very well. Now, if you've obviously played this game before the original, on the original Nintendo, you're going to know that it's actually it's a nice little game. It's a nice little Turtles game, nice little side scroller. Although it does have that kind of top-down element built into it as well, moving from different areas. But when you do go down the drain covers, this is what you get, a nice little side scroller. So yes, works absolutely fluidly. You know, this really is what it's all about with this collection. You just want them to work and work well. Works well perfectly, in fact, with the Sega Dreamcast controller. No dips, you know, FPS doesn't drop. It just works. It's clear. It's how it should be. The only thing I obviously do notice a lot of the time with these games, or these emulators, is issues with sound. There's no issues with sound here. Now, one thing to mention is this collection actually has the full soundtracks. And what I mean by that is when you go into the actual games, you can literally sit back, relax, and listen to the soundtracks of each of those games. So when you're in the holding area, let's call it when you're looking at the, you know, the control setup, which I showed you a second ago, you actually can listen to the full game soundtrack. You can just literally leave it there and it will play. How incredible is that? Right, now let's look at the Game Boy games, or at least one of them, Rise of the Foot Clan. So yes, we're going to take a look at that, because obviously I'd never really played any of the Game Boy games growing up. You know, I just didn't. Anyway, here we go, and let's take a look. These are controls, nice simple controls, but I just love the way this is laid out. For me, it's all the different layers making this collection. You got load game, which obviously loads of games, Y for more info, and then start to go back to the main menu. And obviously what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the more information screen, like I said a second ago. Now, this is where it gets interesting, like I said. You can obviously have an information screen, which we will actually go and click and take a look at, because it is more of a kind of, even more of a breakdown, a kind of, you know, for this actual game itself. You know, it gives you all of the info, including save states, loading states. You can do all of that with this collection. The menu, adjust the screen. You can literally do all of that within the emulation that is built for these games. Now let's take a look at how the actual, you know, the main manual would have looked, because these are actual scans. This isn't a joke. These are scans and fully viewable within this collection. This is the thing that most people forget. It's about the manuals. Manuals really made up a lot of these games back in the day, and it's all there in some real amazing clarity. I know I'm banging on here, but you got to just look at it. The backgrounds, the way it's all kind of moving at the same time. This, for me, is... oh my god. Oh my god.
Now, Loading. Loading. Now loading.
I tell you what, that never gets old. And it always gives like a different thing. Like it says pizza time there. It has actually said different things. And you'll probably notice it the more you play it. Yep, it does give you a kind of different quote or a different, I don't know, different phrase to kind of mimic in with the actual franchise. Now we're looking at the Game Boy version here. And again, Game Boy emulation here is really, really on point. Now, yes, Game Boy games really, they're pretty simple anyway. They are simple games because they are on a simple 8-bit monochrome screen. But yes, as you're going to see, really plays so damn well. It's solid, it's responsive, the sound doesn't crackle, there's no sort of lag here. This really is how it should be played. Now, one thing some people will probably say viewing this footage is, why is it in 16:9 kind of stretched? Well, that's the way I've captured it. If you obviously want to play it in 4:3, you can obviously do that. There are different, you know, it's kind of customize it to the way you want to play it. It really, really is that. But for me, the fact I can play all of these games now on the best console of them all and play them perfectly really is the way it should be, right? It really should be. And, you know, it takes someone like Ian Michael to do all of this work to get it just to run so well. Just think the effort that's gone into making sure all of the emulators work well. Because really, a lot of the emulation for the Dreamcast hasn't been fantastic up to now. You've got to look at the Nintendo stuff. You've got to look at the Spectrum stuff. That's right, that's coming up in a little bit, you know, shortly, also on this collection. It's just incredible how well it all works. Oh, I sound like a broken record, don't I? Right, let's take a look at the Mega Drive / Genesis section. Obviously, we've got all the classics here, Hyperstone Heist, which, let me tell you, is, by the way, an incredible game. We've also got ROM hacks here. How cool is that? I can tell you for a fact, they are not on the PlayStation 4 version. They just aren't there, because they wouldn't go and do that. But either way, this is incredible. Now, there is also a bonus section. There's a bonus section in every section. You will find them out. If you go and hunt for them, trust me, you're going to want to do that. Now, what you're going to see in this bonus collection is the Beats of Rage titles. There's a couple here. Hyperstone Heist, different version, obviously. Turtles Lost in Space. You can play them. That's right, Dream Ball 7.2 versions as well. Play them on your Dreamcast, play them within this collection. By the way, I've obviously covered these games before, so I'm not going to go into those games and show you how they work. But let me tell you, they're great games and they run perfectly on the system. Now, this is the one that I was pretty damn excited for. If you go into the Game Boy section bonus area, that's right, we've got Spectrum emulation. This is the one that, for me, I wanted to see more than anything. The reason for that is the Spectrum emulation really hasn't been up to par until Ian's obviously gone and put all this work in. And I love seeing home computer stuff on the Dreamcast. It's the same with most systems nowadays. You just don't see the home computer stuff. This got me excited. Now, yes, you can hear the music, can you? This gives me goosebumps. You just, like I said, you just don't see this level of detail in most collections, especially fan collections. And obviously, there are different, you can bring up different buttons. You can bring up a full keyboard, as you're seeing right here, but you obviously don't need to do that to actually play the game. You can just use the actual controller itself. But let me tell you, this is how Spectrum emulation should be. And especially with one of the best games on the Spectrum itself, the arcade game of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, the turtle essentially looks like an old man, but that being aside, this is Spectrum goodness. Now, obviously, one thing I would love to see maybe at some point is things like Amstrad kind of included, or Commodore 64, though maybe some of those games. Maybe we'll see some collections of home systems come to the Dreamcast now that this emulation is coming this way. That's one thing that really does get me excited. It's just thinking, all of this effort that's being done to do this collection, what are we going to see next? Anyway, let's take a look at Super Nintendo. This is the one that a few of you are probably going to be interested to see. We play a bit of Turtles in Time, and let me tell you, there had to be some real effort into this one. This was not an easy one to emulate and get perfection. Oh, well, as close to perfection as you're about to see. But obviously, here's the rundown. Tells you everything you need to know. But like I said, this wasn't an easy one. And now the reason for this is really down to the resolution's output. Now, the Super Nintendo has a resolution of 256 by 224 with square pixels. It makes essentially an 8 by 7 aspect ratio. So when the SNES outputs video to CRT, it stretches the pixel to 4 by 3 with 5 by 4 aspect ratio pixels. The Dreamcast, as far as we're aware, or as far as Ian's aware, doesn't support different horizontal resolutions. So what happens is when it's trying to output the SNES actual resolution, it has to stretch using the GPU power of 2, which basically means it's going to be uneven and some pixel columns will be wider than others. Using GPU hardware rendering here, not the good old 2D software rendering. Now, see, if you understand all that, you may already be a dev. If you don't understand all that, I hope you kind of got an insight as into why it didn't look / run the way you'd expect. But for me, I cannot deny, I can't tell the difference, and I actually think this plays really, really well. And I'm kind of basing that on the fact I've played different Super Nintendo emulators on the Dreamcast, and they haven't run very well at all. So this kind of really sums up what a decent job Ian has done when it comes to Super Nintendo. Because at the end of the day, like I said, just before it didn't work very well. Like, really, the main issues you'd have are stuttering, the sound didn't sound right, it would crackle, it would just sound slow, it just didn't work. Whereas about what you're about to see, is, to me, this runs pretty damn well. Look at the way this is running. There's no real huge dips here in FPS. It's just working, and kind of the way I think we all remember it near enough on original Super Nintendo hardware. And that's the thing with this collection. It really is all down to the amount of love that has been put into the emulation. Because people want to kind of, you know, pop this into their Dreamcast and be like reminiscing over their Turtles love. And this really is, it's got to be the best way to play it, right? Anyway, let's show you an example of before the SH4 ASM math was kind of worked on. Before it was worked on, and then after it was worked on. And you tell me the difference. I think you're going to see it straight away. Anyway, let's take a look at that. So yes, I think you can probably tell, can't you, straight away from pre-working on it, and then about 5 to 6 months later worth of work, it really did pay off. You absolutely cannot deny. Like I said, there may be some real small amount of improvements to be had still to get it, you know, 100% perfect. I'm pretty sure he is probably already doing that, but I think the poor guy needs a rest. I mean, he's really been working on this. He's been putting his blood, sweat and tears into this for the Dreamcast community. Don't forget that. He's doing this all on his own, you know. He has a Patreon, so do back him up. I'll link in the description box below. But he's doing all of this for essentially nothing. He really is doing God's work. He really, really is. Now, one thing which I really do like to see, as you're about to see shortly, is the kind of emulator menu. Now, you're actually going to see that kind of, look at the background. You've got the scrolling background as part of the emulator. My God. Anyway, here we go. Let's take a look at the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis. This is the one that I was obviously most excited about, because obviously I am a Sega fanboy at heart. And let's take a look. Let's do it. Let's go and take a look at Hyperstone Heist, which actually is a really, really decent game. And as you're about to see, yes, it loads up with its standard splash page, which obviously will give you all the rundown on what you need to do for the emulator. Like I said, that's the one thing to kind of make note of when you're playing each game. Take a note of how the actual emulator works to get the best experience. So here we go, I should say. Not here we do. Let's do this. That's what I was actually trying to say.
Now, Loading. Now loading, now loading.
I mean, just look at that frame rate. For me, this is the best emulation on this collection. I could be wrong. To me, it just visually looks stunning. It looks smooth. Oh my God, this is what it is all about. Hyperstone Heist, single player. Let's show you what it's all about. Go to your character select screen and boom. Yeah, that's right. We're playing some absolute awesomeness. This, like I said, this is to me what it was all about. Like I said, this runs and it to me feels like it was made for the system. Sega, part of the family, it's here and we're running like an absolute dream. The colours pop, it's smooth, the sound doesn't pop. This is just so great. I don't really know what else to say about these games because they all just run really, really well. They're solid. this is the collection I think we've all been waiting for the best console of them all, the Sega Dreamcast. Now, obviously, you know, you can play different versions. You can use the SD card version if you want, because if you've got a serial port SD reader, you can play it like that. Obviously, you can use the CDI GDI version. You know, you can burn it to a disc, or you can use the GDMU. So you really are open to use what you want to use. You know, everyone's got their way to play. You know, I'm obviously using it via discs, that's the way I do it. That, to me, feels a real way. I know GDMU feels a bit cheating to me. I know it's technically not, but for me, I just love burning a disc. I love the idea of putting a disc into the system when I take it off the shelf in that lovely case. Which obviously, you know, there's a couple designs in the folders, by the way. Make sure to check them out. I've done a couple of them, but there's also a couple different ones there as well. Kind of different interpretations. That's the word I was trying to get out. But yeah, do check them out. Anyway, I hope you've liked this nice little look at the Cowabunga collection for the Sega Dreamcast. The best console of them all. We've all got to give it to Ian Michael for this. You know, drop the praise in the comments section. He does read them, so let him know what you think. I'll be gobsmacked if there's anything negative here. Like I said, there is some change to be had, maybe with some emulation. Hey, it'd be also nice to maybe see a couple different games. What do we reckon? Could we add to this? Let me know what you think. As always, like, comment and subscribe. It's Al signing out.